Rayzr. Hey, this is Sketchn with Rayzr, and today I will be simply drawing heads in different angles. I will be loosely using what's called the Loomis Method, where you draw a circle, then a line dividing the circle vertically to show what direction the head is facing. Then you'll draw 3 horizontal lines and make sure that they're evenly spaced out, where the top one is represented by the eyebrow line, the middle one is represented by the bottom of the nose, then the last one goes past the bottom of the circle in order to represent the chin line. Then you'll draw a smaller circle within the larger one to indicate the side of the head. That's of course if you're drawing the head turned at an angle. This is a good way to practice drawing the head in a specific way, but it doesn't match everyone's head shape, nor does it match every head shape in every other art style. Especially when it comes to anime characters, because if you try to force the Loomis method on it, well, it can look really creepy. But as I implied earlier, I'm only going to be loosely using the Loomis method to try and practice drawing the head shape for various art styles. The characters that I will be drawing will be 3 different characters from Marvel: the Collector, the Hulk, and Hela. Then I will be drawing one of the characters from Maple Story 2. And finally, just to be a little bit silly, I'm going to be drawing a cat guy. One of the things that I find interesting when trying to apply any sort of method to make sure the face and head shape itself is aligned correctly is if you're using a reference and trying to draw that reference, you might even find errors within the reference itself. For example, within the reference that I was using for the Collector, his left eye was a lot smaller than it should be, as well as being off angle. So I had to make an adjustment to where the eyes are properly aligned and of a similar size. And the same could be said for the reference of the Maple Story character, where her right eye is also off angle and significantly smaller than it should be. And now that I think about it, for the Maple Story character, the ear that's drawing within the reference is a lot lower than it normally would be if I were to use a Loomis method for drawing a human. The bottom of the ear is supposed to align with the bottom of the nose, and the top of the ear is supposed to align with the eyebrows. But with the Maple Story art style, the cheek and the jaw is drawn within one stroke, and once you get to the end of the stroke, you immediately draw the ear without drawing an extra line to raise it. Of course, this is a more cartoon-like style, so it's not too much of an issue. When it comes to drawing Hela from Marvel, the more pressing issue is less of drawing her head and more so drawing the ridiculous sculptures or horns or whatever is sticking out of it. I assume this is a part of her crown or mask or whatever she's wearing, rather than just her growing horns out of her head. I both love and hate the fact that they drew this on this character. Although then again, there are other characters that are similar. Like when it comes to the Celestials, they all have these giant spike-like shapes protruding from their heads. You'll even see it on Galactus. In regards to drawing the cat face, what I did in order to portray the cuteness of the cat is I smushed most of the features down into the circle that you initially start off with. For the 3 lines that you normally see dividing everything, I actually aligned the 3 lines to the middle circle that normally shows the side of the head. So the top of the circle is aligned with the eyebrows. The middle of the circle is instead aligned with the bottom of the eyes. That way you can get the impression to, once again, sell that cuteness factor and give the creature huge eyes. But the bottom line, which is also aligned with the bottom of the circle, is aligned with the mouth. Of course, I have to draw the chin afterwards, which means I added another line, a 4th line. But this time it's not as evenly spaced out as the rest of the lines. It's a lot smaller. When it comes to portraying the cuteness of the cat, I wanted to draw a smaller chin and have the structure around the mouth be huge and puffy. As for the Hulk, the reason why I wanted to draw him is because when it comes to his facial structure, they'll draw his nose somewhat small and very high, almost towards the middle of the eyes. Then it'll give this huge area between the nose and the upper lip, which looks kind of silly and gorilla-like, but also allows them to make huge facial expressions with his mouth, which is probably another reason why they drew it like that. Because of course, when it comes to the Hulk, he has a tendency to just scream and yell at stuff. Hulk smash! His peanut butter and jelly sandwich together. For the collector, I also drew a relatively extreme angle where his head is tilted up on the y-axis and away to the right on the x-axis so that you can see underneath the chin. With this angle in particular, the lines that you would normally have evenly spaced out while you're drawing the Loomis method will actually appear much closer together due to foreshortened perspective. When it comes to a foreshortened perspective, the object or person being viewed will appear larger the closer it gets to the camera, but smaller the further away it gets. The MapleStory character was relatively easy to draw because for this particular art style, the majority of the face would still be within the circle that you initially draw. And the only other thing that would be separated would really be the cheek, because the cheek is the only thing that sort of pops out before turning right back into the circle that you initially start with. When drawing Hella again, I focused less on the wild horns or crazy structure that is protruding from her head and focused mainly on drawing, well, the head. This time I also tried doing a little bit of a tilt, but it was relatively easy considering she is a humanoid character and the art style for her is relatively similar to the Loomis method. I definitely went off model when drawing the cat again and instead focused on drawing this kind of weird looking cat humanoid creature. You know, I think it's more so what is it called? Yeah, an anthropomorphic cat. It's weird, but I wanted to have more cartoony facial expressions for the cat. For the Hulk, I wanted to continue to make use of that large amount of space that they left between the nose and the upper lip. That way he's more expressive when it comes to his mouth itself, but it also gives him a very unique look in other head angles. In order to end the video on an art piece like I normally do, I decided to just take 5 unique angles, one for each character, draw them around a huge text. But that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys have a good one, and make sure to keep your mind, body, and soul razor sharp.